How you doing, everybody? It's James Larson. Welcome to Craft 101. Today we are drinking a great beer. It's the Bell's Hop Slam Imperial IPA. It's 10% ABV. As always, I bring in my beer drinking buddies. I got Drew Knutson from the Mellow Mushroom.
Cheers.
And I've got Kirk Hayden over here from Robbins, Iowa. He's a legend over there in Robbins. I'm going to start with you. Why are we drinking the Bell's today? I like it. I had it earlier today. This is my second beer. Why did you decide to pick this beer today on the podcast?
Well, the Bell's Hop Slam is one of those beers that's very exclusive, limited release. It always comes out February-ish. This year, they actually released it a week earlier than they did last year. Very exclusive, so that's why we're going to talk about it. That's why we're going to share it.
Now, Kirk, tell your story. You got a six-pack of this?
Yes.
Tell us how much this cost, and was there any line at the Hy-Vee, or were you in and out?
Well, this year, actually, there was no line. But I'll relate this back to a couple of years ago. This is really where I got my start in craft beer. I don't know. I read something online about this beer. And so I'm like, I got to try it. Never actually had ever had a double IPA at the time.
And what does double IPA mean, the double part?
So, you've got your IPAs, okay, and then your double IPAs. So it's higher volume of alcohol, more hops and so forth used in the process. But and double IPAs can, for some people, can be what I call boozy.
Right.
This is not.
Not at all.
There's no question. It is not a boozy beer at all. But found out that a local place, Hy-Vee, had this beer, very limited release.
Yeah.
This is 2 years ago. And they sent out an email. I got the email, drove down there, stood in line at 4 p.m., got the golden ticket, as I called it, and stood in line with, 50 other people.
Am I going to get into the chocolate factory?
Right, exactly. And got my $20 six-pack of this beer.
Wow.
And first time I'd ever had it, took it home. Didn't really want to share it with anybody at $20 for a six-pack. And it was fabulous. And, now we fast forward to 2018 where, Drew, you guys have it on tap. I saw through the Untapped app when Drew added this fine ale. Yesterday, right?
Our last session we talked about Untapped. We won't spend a lot of time on it today, but the reason why he knew is because you can turn, we call it verified venues. And so if you're a verified venue, you can turn on notifications through that app. So every time that we change a beer, he'll get dinged, if you will, and says,
notified,
here's the new beers on tap. And then he saw right away, he's like, wow, okay, that Mellow Mushroom has the Hop Slam on tap.
Yeah, it's an Imperial IPA. What does the Imperial mean in the IPA world?
It's the fancy word for double IPA.
Gotcha.
They just wanted a double IPA. It sounds nicer to some people if you say Imperial.
So you had one of these at a local bar on tap, and you told me it was $8, but you're getting 10%. So really, you're paying $8, but it's like having two beers.
Exactly. I mean, I think you drink it a little slower. So, the first reaction to some people is, what are you kidding me? $8 for that glass of beer? And it's served in a 13-ounce versus a pint glass. But you drink it slower, and it's also a lot higher alcohol content. So, if you drink that beer at the same pace that you would drink a normal beer, you're really drinking 2.5 beers in the time that you would drink one beer. So you're going to feel it quicker. So I think you slow down. So in reality, I rationalize it that it's really only $4 a beer.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you're just drinking a lot higher quality beer, much better tasting, and that's how I rationalize
From the bar
it.
side, from the proprietor side, it's 85% more expensive than, for me, just to buy the keg.
85% more expensive?
Than a standard keg price of another beer that they offer. So it isn't necessarily the restaurants or the bars that are passing it on. We just have to obviously cover our cost, and that's why it's more expensive. It's limited. It's expensive for them to make. They take 6 different hops and throw it into this beer, and then they dry hop it on top of that. So it takes a lot to make that beer.
I'm going to put this around for Danielle here. I love the can. I love the packaging. That was something you and I, Kirk, talked about. It's just it's a cool beer.
It's a very cool beer. It is absolutely cool. But I would also say there are several breweries in the local area that I think make doubles and even single IPAs, India Pale Ales, that are as good as that.
All right.
Without a doubt.
I would argue that all day
Without
long.
a doubt.
Well, if you want to have one of these, look right into the camera, Drew. Why don't you get a little pub out of this? Tell everybody where they can join you down at the Mellow Mushroom.
Mellow Mushroom, more taps on this side of the state, Eastern Iowa. We have 74 beers on tap, more than anybody on this side of the state. We're really proud of it. We work hard. We always carry the exclusive stuff like this. Stop in and see us, Coral Ridge Mall. We have our own outside entrance, exit 240, right off of Interstate 80.
All
Come
right.
see us.
Next week, I'm going to let I'm going to let Kirk pick. What beer do we want to focus on next week? So we can kind of give a little tease to everybody that's watching this podcast. What are we going to explore next week on the show?
That's a tough one. I would like to go local. I mean, that's a Michigan beer.
Yep, you're right.
Kalamazoo, I believe.
Yep.
Kalamazoo, Michigan. Yep.
And, obviously they get out in their distribution in January, February with this beer. Doesn't last very long. But, yeah, I'd like to talk local.
Let's leave it up to the folks watching this. So we'll wrap up this episode of Craft 101. You tell us what local craft beer we should highlight next week. Anything in the state of Iowa, comment below, and we'll see you next Friday right here on Craft 101.